Let's talk about getting outside of one's comfort zone. Hello YouTubers, this is Noobifier. Today we're going to try something completely different. Ad-lib, freeform. We're going to see if I can actually make a no BS video on the fly. I was asked a question for the new channel about all of the sim gear that I use when doing road sim, so I thought I would put it all on the table here while it's off the sim rig. As I said in another video, MTX Sim, which is Monster Tech, that was their first version of the sim base. They are releasing MTS, and I wish I could tell you more about it because all I've seen so far are pictures, but there are supposed to be a pair of them coming. I do know that it's completely modular and it's all extremely, very much like a transformer. Everything kind of moves and you can have multiple configurations at the same time. It just kind of swings out. We're going to start with possibly the most important part for Simbase. Most of my gear is Fanatec, and it's part of the same ecosystem, but there are some really fancy companies out there that can go up much higher. And of course you can go down. I'm not going to say down. That sounds really condescending. Thrustmaster makes very, very good entry-level stuff, right? But it's still extremely good. And I don't care. You can be super competitive and have a great time on anything. So don't think that I'm trying to be elitist. Anyways, this guy here is a DD1. It is the middle. There's a DD2, which has more torque. And then the CSL DD, which is this guy here. Now, the CSL DD is supposed to replace the 2.5 CSL, and that is a belt driven. And what they've done is they've come up with entry-level $300-ish, and it's about 5 newtons of force. So it's enough to give you the feel. And I'm going to review this, but TLDR, spoiler, this, although it does give you good holding force, it doesn't snap you like this. So you lose a little fidelity, and there are fewer options in the menu on how to configure it. DD1, 20 newtons of force. And the reason that's important is that gives you not only your holding force. So sometimes if you're in an older car, like a Sauber Mercedes on a very, very high bank track, and you're really going fast and there's a lot of wheel speed, like the speed of the wheels rotating is very fast. To simulate the amount of force and inertia that you would need, it has to have holding force, the force that makes your biceps pop out, the force that makes you tired. So you can't achieve that without a strong motor. And that's what this is. This is Fanatec's, we'll call it flagship for now. Maybe they're going to release something new. For the ESport team, I use mainly Formula One. There's a plug-in here just to stop the pins that are very, very delicate from getting broken. This one here has magnetic shifter, which is very, very fun because it actually gives you a really good tactile feedback. A nice positive click, and yes, you can even hear it through headsets. Attached to this is I think it's 2.5 formula. The red edition, there's a purple and silver edition that Trevor likes to use. Anyways, you got radio, you got your DRS, your overtake, and then this changes view. Formula One has certain buttons to navigate the menu, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're also useful during game, like that's clutch for start. And then for VR games, this is center view and pause, and then visor, which lets you wipe if you had windshield wipers or whatever. And then this is your differential settings, and this is your brake balance. So all of that is in one place on one wheel, super good. And I don't know, the Alcantara has a nice feel to it. A lot of people are complaining that it wears out. I was gonna talk to Pineapple to find out if they could get something over to me more customized, because a fatter grip for long duration races is probably going to be better. So we're going to cut a little bit. This is a Sparco wheel, like a real car steering wheel. And this you'd use for maybe NASCAR, anything that would have a more circular wheel, definitely drift. And because of drift, what you don't want is big honking shifter paddles sticking out, because you can get your finger stuck in it. And that's the same with all of this. All the controls, you want them tucked away. So once again, radio, because it's push to talk. On Discord, you don't want to screw people around. Ignition to then start. So if you pop the clutch, you can simulate having to start the car again. And then again, center VR, which is super important if you're playing a VR game. And then windshield wiper and lights. And you can see the rest of it's pretty rudimentary. All of it's off. But once again, nice feedback. And then this is a great wheelbase because it has all of the extra functionality on the top. Plus, if you really wanted to, you could pull the speedometer out. But if you're in VR, that really doesn't matter much, right? But anyways, big chunky steering wheel, nice weight to it. Everything's really good. I want to talk specifically about this, the CSL DD. it is much cheaper. What is it? $300 versus $2,000 or whatever dollars. It's a significant reduction in price, and you'd expect if it performs half as good that would be the answer. It is very good. It does have a booster kit that'll bring it up to 8 newtons. So I guess the best way to think about this is if your DD1 is running only about 20% to give you the holding force, and this thing can run at 80% and get you the same holding force, then why would you need more than this? And it comes down to the snap, right? The ability to give you that little bit of extra torque. It takes a lot of force to make microburst adjustments. So although this does give you good holding force and everything like that, I found in using it for a little bit, and yes, there will be a much larger review coming about this. It's very good, but it doesn't, there's a reason that the other one's a flagship, if that makes any sense. Just realized the lighting could have been better, so that's been fixed. What I want to talk about next is pedals. Like I said, you can go, well, like in anything, you can go very, very expensive. This is, I wouldn't even consider this mid-range. I wouldn't even consider this high range. This is Fanatec's best, and it's their underslung version 3. It puts the pedals upside down. So it's more like what you would see in an actual car. Is that like what's in a race car? I don't know. And what I was going to say about this is I have tried the normal 2.5s and the version 3s. There is a noticeable difference in the position, but when you start driving, is the extra $300 worth it to you? I don't know, because the gas pedal's the same. The brake pedal is still a load sensor, just like the 2.5, and the clutch still has a double mechanism to make it feel like a clutch. So this does behave more like a real car. But again, if you're on a budget, perhaps this is not what you need. Almost to the end, the last 2 parts that I have are really the standard Fanatec shifter and the Fanatec park brake. These are used, well, this is really good for something like an older LM car, like a Le Mans car, or even like a F40 if you want to simulate that. It has up to 7 gears. They're all gated. And again, just adds another level to the experience. Will it make you faster or more competitive around a track? No, but this thing is not about making you faster. This is about getting you a better experience, right? And it does have the ability to go sequential. So if you just want to pound upshift, downshift, like sequential, you can flick it to that on the fly. The calibration's super easy. It's never let me down. It's never missed a gear. And yeah, it's expensive, but it does exactly what it's supposed to. And it's part of the ecosystem, which is nice because when you plug it into the wheelbase, it shows up automatically. Everything just seems to work. Now, this one is a bit interesting. Originally, I thought I was going to be upset because it's just a straight up spring. And it is proportional, which means it's an axis, which means that it isn't just on and off. But I know Thrustmaster makes a really expensive one that's branded by Sparco. I haven't had a chance to test it yet. And I believe it'll do sequential shifting and it'll also do park brake at the same time. For dirt, like drift, rally, rallycross, all that kind of stuff, this is a mandatory thing. It is very, very good. Get it in the right position. And even in VR, if you're able to put it exactly where it is in the car, it just seals the deal. It gets you into like the zone, and it's actually necessary. It's very, very good. Not that expensive either. I think it's like $150. And we're going to end on one last thing. This guy here is a bass motor, is a transducer, bass transducer. Those of you that used to do car audio will know exactly what's going on here. This guy here is basically a subwoofer without the cone on it. And the idea is that the coil in it, when you electrify it just like a speaker, it moves, it shakes. Instead of making air move, it makes things move. You attach that to your seat bottom. You get an amplifier that comes with the kit, low pass filter, just like you would in car stereo. And you split the signal from your headset, you can hear, and then the amplifier gets a signal from the computer, and that's low pass, and that makes this thing shake around. Anytime you hit a rumble strip or an accident or road noise or anything like that, the engine shifts, everything just basically makes it into the rest of your sim base. And even if you don't have motion, this helps. It doesn't give you motion, it doesn't replace that, but it definitely brings it up a notch. So that's really all the sim gear that goes on the car rig. There's a 49-inch monitor. I've got Tobii There's a couple other things there that are kind of random. And when I do the full review, I'll probably do a much better job of explaining all this. But hopefully that answers your question as to what I am currently using as part of the esports virtual team. And if you guys are interested at all, check out the links for virtual -5 time zone. And we meet Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if you're at all interested in Formula One or that kind of stuff, we are on iRacing and we're on F1 2021. That's it. Very different. Hopefully it wasn't too bad. Drive saucy.